the double life that made her famous. Before she was swinging on wrecking balls or lighting up stages with rock anthems, Miley Cyrus was America's sweetheart. The daughter of country singer Billy Ray Cyrus, Destiny Hope Cyrus, nicknamed Smiley for her cheerful demeanor, was born into music royalty. But no one could have predicted that this Southern girl from Franklin, Tennessee, would become one of the most controversial and transformative figures in pop culture history. In 2006, she landed the role that would launch her into superstardom, Hannah Montana. With her blonde wig and sparkly outfits, Miley played a teen living a secret double life as a pop star, a concept that would eerily mirror her real life for years to come. The Disney Channel series was an instant hit. Girls around the world copied her style, sang her songs, and bought up the merchandise. By the time she was 14, Miley wasn't just famous, she was a full-blown brand. But being the face of Disney came with pressure. She had to maintain a squeaky clean image while navigating adolescence in front of the entire world. As Miley grew older, she started to feel boxed in by the perfect image crafted for her. From the time I was 11, she later admitted, it was like, you're a pop star, that means you have to be blonde, and you have to have long hair, and you have to wear something sparkly. She began to feel like Hannah had taken over her identity. Behind the scenes, Miley was experiencing what many child stars do, the suffocating weight of fame at a young age. She was expected to be flawless, to smile, to behave. But as she approached her late teens, she was itching to shed the Disney persona. The real Miley Cyrus was brewing beneath the surface, edgy, bold, and ready to rebel. But when the wig came off, the real transformation began, and the world wasn't ready for what came next. By 2010, Miley Cyrus had outgrown the glittery persona of Hannah Montana. She was no longer interested in being America's good girl. She was 17, freshly free from Disney's iron grip, and ready to prove that she wasn't a kid anymore. Her declaration came in the form of a bold musical and visual shift with the release of her third studio album, Can't Be Tamed. Gone were the cheerful pop tunes and sparkly costumes. In their place were fishnet bodysuits, dramatic makeup, and lyrics dripping with defiance. The title track's music video featured Miley in a birdcage thrashing around with dark eyeliner and leather, symbolism that couldn't be more obvious. She wasn't just stepping away from Disney, she was breaking out of it. The backlash came fast and furious. Parents who had once trusted Miley as a role model were outraged. Media outlets labeled her a bad influence. Critics questioned whether she was trying too hard to be provocative. But for Miley, this was never about shock value. It was about control. For the first time in her career, she was choosing her image. And it wasn't Hannah. Public appearances became increasingly bold. She was photographed in risque outfits, spotted at parties, and linked to romantic rumors. Tabloids had a field day, but Miley didn't flinch. "I'm not a bad girl," she told reporters at the time. "I'm just growing up." The problem was, no one wanted her to. This period of rebellion wasn't without its contradictions. On one hand, she was trying to assert her adult identity. On the other, she was still figuring out who that was. There were missteps, awkward transitions, and moments that felt performative. But even so, she was planting the seeds for a career defined by fearless evolution. And if critics thought Can't Be Tamed was wild, they hadn't seen anything yet. What came next would split the internet in half. In 2013, Miley Cyrus didn't just reinvent herself, she detonated her past. The release of Bangerz was a cultural event. Gone was the teen star trying to prove she was grown up. In her place stood a provocateur with a platinum pixie cut, grills, and a permanent tongue-out attitude. Miley wasn't asking for approval anymore. She was demanding attention, and she got it. The transformation culminated at the MTV Video Music Awards that year, where Miley performed alongside Robin Thicke in a performance that instantly went viral. Clad in a nude latex outfit, wielding a foam finger, and twerking on stage, she shocked millions. Parents gasped. The internet exploded. Memes were born. Miley Cyrus became the most talked-about celebrity on the planet. But the VMAs were just the beginning. The Bangerz album delivered hit after hit, We Can't Stop, Adore You, and of course, Wrecking Ball. The latter's music video featuring Miley swinging nude on a giant ball became an internet sensation, racking up hundreds of millions of views. Critics and fans alike were torn. Was this a meltdown? A masterclass in marketing? Or both? Miley insisted it was authenticity. "I'm not trying to be sexy, I'm just being myself," she said in interviews. But many questioned her use of hip-hop aesthetics and dance styles, accusing her of cultural appropriation. It was a messy, polarizing time, yet it was also the most powerful she'd ever been in her career. She headlined sold-out tours, graced every magazine cover, and became a constant subject of pop culture debates. Love her or hate her, you couldn't look away. The Bangerz era was Miley at her most chaotic and her most fearless. She was throwing off every expectation, every label, every constraint. But beneath the glitter, grills, and twerking controversy, something deeper was happening. Miley was starting to peel back the layers and explore her pain, her past, and her purpose. By 2015, Miley Cyrus had proven she could dominate headlines, but now she wanted something more than shock value. After the chaos of Bangerz, she retreated from the mainstream and dove headfirst into her most experimental, bizarre, and personal project yet, Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. Released for free without any major label promotion, the album was a trippy, genre-defying collage of raw emotions, psychedelic soundscapes, and unfiltered vulnerability. Gone were the polished pop beats and radio-friendly hooks. Instead, listeners were met with lo-fi vocals, stream-of-consciousness lyrics, and songs about loss, love, drugs, and, you guessed it, dead pets. Collaborating with alt-rock legends. The Flaming Lips, Miley created something that wasn't meant for charts. It was meant for herself. Visually, this era was just as wild. Her Instagram was flooded with surreal art, glittery nudity, and tongue-in-cheek chaos. She wore unicorn horns, rainbow pasties, and oversized prosthetics on stage. Her performances, especially during her Dead Pets tour, were theatrical acid trips, complete with inflatable creatures and confetti cannons. Fans were either mesmerized or confused. There was no in-between. But underneath the psychedelia was a young woman grappling with grief and identity. Around this time, Miley had opened up about the death of her dog Floyd, which deeply affected her and inspired much of the album's emotional core. She was also increasingly candid about her sexuality, coming out as pansexual and using her platform to advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. She launched the Happy Hippie Foundation to support homeless youth, queer teens, and marginalized communities. Despite the artistic risks and the commercial dip, critics praised her bravery. Some called the project self-indulgent, but others saw it as a raw, unfiltered glimpse into an artist breaking free from every commercial chain. Miley wasn't just rebelling against pop culture, she was rewriting what it meant to be a pop star. And even though Dead Pets didn't chart like Bangerz, it earned Miley something more lasting: credibility. She proved she wasn't a puppet or a gimmick. She was an artist, messy, evolving, and unafraid to lose fans in the name of truth. But just as quickly as she had gone off the deep end, Miley took another turn, one no one expected. The rebel got quiet, the glitter faded, and love came calling. In 2017, the world witnessed something few expected: a softer, sweeter Miley Cyrus. Gone were the grills, latex outfits, and provocative performances. In their place was a barefoot girl in a flowing white dress singing a love song by the beach. The single was Malibu, and it marked the beginning of a new era. This Miley was grounded, both literally and emotionally. The song was inspired by her rekindled relationship with longtime love, Liam Hemsworth, whom she had met nearly a decade earlier on the set of the last song. Their love story had been tabloid fodder for years: engagement, breakup, reconciliation, and now an apparent sense of peace. The sound of Malibu and the album Younger Now was a far cry from the chaos of her previous projects. Country pop, acoustic melodies, and honest lyrics dominated the record. It felt like a return to her Tennessee roots and a declaration of emotional maturity. She even performed in a sequined Elvis-style jumpsuit at the VMAs, nodding to her Southern heritage. Fans and critics were divided once again. Some celebrated the shift, calling it a sign that Miley had finally grown up. Others missed the wild unpredictability. But one thing was clear: Miley was in control. This wasn't a record made to prove anything. It was made to reflect where she was: in love, reflective, and healing. She spoke openly about giving up weed, taking a break from social media, and focusing on wellness. In interviews, she seemed calm and centered. "I needed to change so much," she told Billboard, "and changing with someone else not changing like that is too hard." But while her image was softer, the core of Miley, the fire, the independence, never left. The moment she felt caged again, she broke free. Her marriage to Liam, though deeply romantic, would soon unravel. And with that heartbreak came another transformation, arguably her fiercest yet, because when Miley breaks, she doesn't just cry, she creates. And what came next was a leather-clad, rock-infused roar the world didn't see coming. In 2020, after years of romantic upheaval, public silence, and personal reinvention, Miley Cyrus came back swinging, literally and metaphorically. With the release of Plastic Hearts, she shed the softness of Malibu and emerged as a full-blown rock star, and not the bubblegum kind. This was glam punk Miley, channeling Joan Jett, Debbie Harry, and Stevie Nicks with fierce conviction. The sound was raw, gritty, and unapologetic. Songs like Midnight Sky and Prisoner brought anthemic energy, driven by synth rock beats and raspy vocals that showed off her vocal power. No longer trying to fit into a pop mold, Miley carved out her own lane, one drenched in neon, heartbreak, and edge. Her look transformed yet again. She sported a platinum shag mullet, leather pants, fishnets, and studded jackets. Performances became more theatrical, dripping with 80s nostalgia and modern bravado. And fans, they were all in. Plastic Hearts debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and earned her some of the best reviews of her career. But it wasn't just a musical shift, it was a statement. Miley had survived heartbreak, scrutiny, and 2 decades in an industry that chews up young women. And now, she was stronger, smarter, and louder than ever. She leaned into rock, not as a costume, but as a release. "I think I was born to make this music," she said in an interview. She even got the ultimate seal of approval: collaborations and praise from the legends themselves. Performing with Stevie Nicks, covering Blondie, and earning nods from Billy Idol and Joan Jett, Miley wasn't borrowing credibility, she was earning it. This era reminded everyone that Miley wasn't just a chameleon, she was a fighter. Every transformation, every controversy, every risk had led her here. She didn't need to shock anymore to prove her power. Her voice and her truth was enough. But even with a leather jacket and a roaring crowd behind her, Miley had one more evolution to share, one that would strip away everything and rebuild from the inside out. By 2023, Miley Cyrus had transformed so many times that reinvention itself had become her signature. But with the release of Endless Summer Vacation, something felt different. This wasn't a loud pivot or a radical rebellion. It was quieter, more grounded, and surprisingly introspective. For the first time, Miley wasn't trying to prove anything. She was just being. The lead single, Flowers, became an instant cultural moment. Released just ahead of her ex-husband, Liam Hemsworth's birthday, the track sent the internet into a frenzy. Fans dissected lyrics, video scenes, and wardrobe choices for hidden meanings, many interpreting the song as a direct clapback to their failed relationship. The chorus echoed empowerment. "I can buy myself flowers. I can love me better than you can." It wasn't bitter, it was triumphant. The music video was equally symbolic. Miley struts confidently through the Hollywood Hills, swims in a pool alone, and dances in an empty house, owning her solitude. In one scene, she wears a suit many believe to resemble Liam's red carpet tuxedo. In another, she works out furiously in the same mansion where their marriage reportedly unraveled. Whether the Easter eggs were intentional or not, the message was loud and clear. Miley was done being anyone but herself. Endless Summer Vacation wasn't just about closure, it was about balance. Miley described the album as being split into AM and PM sides, representing light and darkness, hope and reflection. Songs like River and Jaded showcased her evolution not just as an artist, but as a woman who had weathered love, loss, fame, and growth and come out clear-eyed on the other side. Her aesthetic matured with her. Gone were the gimmicks and glitter. In their place were tailored silhouettes, elegant gowns, and subtle glam. She embraced natural beauty, sometimes appearing makeup-free in shoots, and often wearing vintage designer looks that honored old Hollywood with a modern twist. She was no longer chasing the spotlight, it simply followed her. Miley also began speaking more openly about her mental health, therapy, and boundaries. She talked about sobriety, the importance of routine, and surrounding herself with genuine people. In interviews, she radiated calm confidence, still witty, still bold, but less reactive. She wasn't trying to escape her past anymore. She had made peace with it. Endless Summer Vacation marked a full-circle moment. It honored her history, acknowledged her scars, and celebrated her power. Miley had finally found a version of herself she didn't need to escape from, and that, more than any album or headline, was her most radical move yet. But what does it all mean? Was this the final form of Miley Cyrus, or just another evolution in a career that's never been afraid to break the rules? Miley Cyrus isn't just a pop star, she's a cultural mirror. Over the last 2 decades, her evolution has reflected the changing face of celebrity, the growing pains of womanhood, and the fight for self-expression in a world that demands labels. Few artists have reinvented themselves with as much raw honesty, backlash, and resilience as Miley, and even fewer have survived it. What began as a double-life sitcom ended in something far more powerful, a woman who owns every side of herself unapologetically. From Hannah Montana to Bangerz, from heartbreak ballads to rock anthems, Miley has consistently defied expectations. She didn't just break the Disney mold, she burned it to the ground and danced in the ashes. But her legacy isn't just about rebellion, it's about permission. She's given a generation of young people the courage to change, to experiment, to mess up, and to start over. She's shown that identity is not fixed, that womanhood doesn't look one way, that artistry doesn't require perfection, and that power doesn't come from playing it safe, it comes from taking the fall and getting back up. Critics once called her out of control. Now they call her one of the most versatile performers of her era. She's hosted Saturday Night Live, performed tributes to legends, sung with Metallica, and shared the stage with Dolly Parton. She's topped charts across genres: pop, rock, country, even psychedelic experimental. She's grown up in front of us, and instead of being destroyed by the spotlight, she's learned how to direct it. Through it all, she's kept her humor, her grit, and that unmistakable rasp in her voice, a sound now synonymous with rebellion and resilience. And even when the world tried to reduce her to a scandal, a phase, or a headline, Miley turned every misstep into a stepping stone. Now in her 30s, she's no longer a child star trying to break free. She's a creative force who makes the rules, and then breaks them. Her story isn't just about music or image, it's about survival, reinvention, and the power of showing up as your full, messy, beautiful self. So what's next for Miley Cyrus? Honestly, anything she damn well pleases. From a teen with a wig and a secret identity, to a woman who doesn't hide anything at all. Miley Cyrus has lived 1,000 lives, and she's just getting started. If you've ever felt trapped by other people's expectations, if you've ever been told to stay in your lane, just remember, the Rebel Makeover isn't about being shocking, it's about being free. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more deep dives into the most fascinating celebrity transformations of our time. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.